Feel the heat and my pulse racing. No frustration, cause I'm getting to it all guns blazing. I'm sun gazing, blood rushing, pumping pure motivation. I see the globe as one nation, cause this world is mine, I'm done waiting. Yeah, I'm sun gazing. Feel the heat and my pulse racing.
Alright, everybody, what's the crack? It is Dylan from Mabfield here. So once again, I'm joined by Jack.
Yeah, how's it going?
And we've got our first repeat guest on. So we've got Keelan, aka CBAKL. What's the crack, man?
Not much. Good for having me on. Thanks.
Yeah, so it's been about 5 or 6 months since you were last on.
Yeah.
I think you were our very first guest, actually.
I think I was.
So
royalty of the podcast.
yeah. So since then, like, what's been going on? You talked about bringing out an album. You talked about doing collaborations.
Mm-hmm.
What's been going on since then?
I don't know. In terms of, I graduated uni in terms of like personal stuff, and then finished up that album and released it 2nd of August, I think it was, and just been doing stuff with like my collective Class Craic and just working on collaborations with people, and just
not even a month on and you've hit 1 million streams as well.
I know it's going good. Like, I can't complain.
Yeah, is that something that you were expecting initially or hoping for, or?
I suppose not expecting, but I suppose hoping for. As I always say though, I don't know, like streams I don't think are a brilliant gauge of like how well you're doing, because you could just get put in a big playlist and, do you know what I mean, get no actual like fan base off it. It just gives you some streams, which is cool, but it doesn't contribute to like your actual success in the long term.
I would say since the last time, one thing that you said you wanted to do was like grow a bigger audience at home, and I think you've definitely begun to do that, definitely.
I think just sort of networking and focusing a lot of my effort on that has definitely helped with expanding, like, I suppose, my name in like Ireland and things like that. Yeah,
and you've got a joint EP coming out as well. Like, you've just dropped an album and you've already got a collaborative project coming out, and tell us a bit about that.
It's coming out with Craic Boi Mental, and it's called Last of the Summer Wine. It's coming out on tomorrow, I think. I'm out on Thursday.
Yeah, hopefully by the time this is released then it'll be out. How did that even come about?
Yeah, like, where does the name come from as well?
The name of the album.
Yeah.
I think he came up with the name, but I suppose just because it's the end of summer, probably. Yeah. But I quite like the name of it. But I think it was on Instagram. Oh no, do you know what it was? It was do you know the Squick Stars thing? Yeah, they made like a bunch of playlists of like artists to like listen to around the country. And he put me in like the beat playlist for it, and then followed me on Instagram, and I think, or sorry, maybe it was on Twitter that happened. Yeah. And then he liked one of my tweets about sending beats to Irish people, and then I just sent him a big pack of stuff, and he was like, "Do you want to just make an EP out of?" Because he liked, I think, a few of them. So we just.
The work rate from him is pretty mad, because I remember when I was talking to you, like, you mentioned it was possibly happening, then like 2 days later you were like finito, and I was like, what?
Yeah, literally. His work rate's mad, and even like the promo, everything, like he just bang, like all of it getting sorted in like a couple of days.
Was there much like back and forth with it, or was it a case of you just sending in the beats and then him doing?
Yeah, it was pretty much. I think I just sort of trusted him. Do you know what I mean? And I think once I'd sent him the beats, I think I sent him like 6 or 7, and he was like, "We could do an EP out of this." So he chose 4 out of the 6 or 7 that I sent, and that was it basically.
I've seen you saying on Twitter that you want to do these sort of 4-track EPs with other Irish rappers.
Yeah.
Have you got anyone in mind?
There's a few people that have messaged me about it. They're like pretty exciting names, but I don't want to mention it just in case maybe they fall through. Do you know what I mean? Or to keep the sort of, I suppose, surprise if it does happen.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think it's a good idea though. It kind of reminds me of when Kanye went on that spree last summer of just releasing like smaller projects that he was producing. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I think that collaborative aspect, like you were talking about it on the podcast before, it's just so important, I think, and especially building like a sense of community like in the scene. I think it's really important for that sort of stuff.
I think it like opens each person up to another audience as well, because you're not going to have the same audience as Craic Boi's going to have.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Any of the other rappers as well, because as you said, you're growing your base at home, but like you're potentially going to open them up to a lot of your audience that you've earned online that won't have heard of half these people.
Yeah, exactly. No, it definitely is cool in that sense.
Going back to the album that just came out, talk us through the name Wisdom is Misery.
Yeah, Wisdom is Misery. I don't know, I've been asked a few times about like where I've like thought of it from. I think I was just sort of running with a few different ideas, and then I I can't actually remember where it came from, but I just thought of that and I was like, that's it. Like that's the title I want to use.
Yeah, I think it goes really well with the cover as well. It's that sort of like the face on the cover looks a bit questionable, like a bit sad. But I think that sort of like melancholic feel like goes through the album, I think.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Especially Fergus, who designed. I'm actually wearing it at the minute. Like the eyes, the way they're like brains. I don't know, like the way Fergus did that.
I've not even noticed that. You
know,
I didn't even notice that.
The eyes are like. Yeah.
Oh shit! Nice.
But no, I didn't even. I just gave it to him, like the idea, and he just came back with that. Like I didn't tell him to do anything specifically.
Sort of give him the creative freedom to do whatever he wanted.
And it was literally like 10 times better than anything I could have like imagined him doing. Do you know what I mean?
No, it looks really good. It reminds me of the Disclosure covers.
Yeah.
With the drawings on the face.
They're class.
But so what were like some of your influences on the EP? Because it kind of reminds me of Moby at some points.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've always loved Moby because my dad had I think some of his CDs like whenever I was younger, so I've always grown up listening to his music. And then I don't know, in terms of other stuff, I suppose you could say early Kanye is, I wouldn't really say an inspiration in terms of I didn't go in thinking I want to make.
Some of the vocal chops, though, remind me a wee bit of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, it's definitely inspired, not intentionally, but I would definitely say the sound sounds like him. And even people like Ninth Wonder, that very, I tried to go for that sort of melodic, like, straight away, like, catch your ear, sort of melodic vocal sampling.
Something you talked about before as well was, like, having a project being able to stand on its own without features, you know, without people rapping over the top of it. You were saying with like instrumentals, and like some of these tracks are so strong, like just the beats and some of that more house element that you've went for some of them as well. Is that something you were actively doing, was trying to get, okay, this isn't just going to be a background beat, this is going to be something that can stand alone, you know, by itself?
Yeah, I don't know, I think it's like rap albums are fucking great. Like I love rap albums obviously, but I think it's very important for like the scene or any scene in general to have different stuff and to have people who are making beats that aren't just like there for rappers. Like obviously the beats can have people rapping, like I love people rapping on my beats, but also to be seen, I don't know, sort of to be seen as your own person, not just, oh, he's that producer who produced for blah blah blah. It's like he is
because
a musician.
A lot of the instrumentals and beats that you come across online from people that produce for rappers sound like they're supposed to have someone over the top of them, whereas your album, I feel like a lot of the songs would actually be tainted having a voice over the top of them. Yeah. And it's that sort of house element for some of them, and like slightly higher BPM for some of them as well, because I know that some of the slower, more like melodic stuff you've gone before, but with this it felt, I don't know.
I know what you mean about having the vocals over the top, because it feels like a lot of the soul samples are like strong enough that if you had someone rapping over the top of it, it would sort of take away from them and take the shine away from them a bit. But I think it flows like as a project like really well. You've got like the like You Cry and like other ones that are quite slow, and then like Can't Stay Away From You, I think it is. It's like a bit more of like a
exactly. That was the thing I tried to do with this, was like I've released other projects that are kind of just like a collection of beats, which I think that sort of Spotify age of like that lends itself more to that, because it's like, right, make a bunch of beats and then put them on, try and get like playlist or whatever. But I wanted it to, I remember you guys spoke about it ages ago, where it's like albums have a lasting impact whenever they're good, and you know what I mean, they can sort of set a sound. Whereas it was the first one that I'd actually sat down and been like, right, I want a cohesive, like you can easily listen to start to finish. And that's another reason why it's like 20 minutes, because I wanted it to be short and sweet. Like I remember Earl, whenever I don't like shit, I don't go outside, like people were replying or tweeting him like, why the fuck is it so short? And he's like, so you can listen to it like 3 times a day. And I was like, that's
I think it's so true though, because I feel as though people have to go really out of the way to make something like 16 track albums, and like in today especially, people just don't have the patience a lot of time. But I think like you were talking about Kanye earlier, he definitely started a trend of shorter pieces that are more digestible, and I think lengthwise it's like 30 odd minutes, 34 minutes or so. That is like for me optimum length, especially with what you had going on.
Exactly, because even if you look back at like, I don't know, like Biggie, he had fucking albums that were like 2 hours long, and you have some skits on there, like the skit for Kick in the Door. I would say that's like I love that album, but that is the like worst skit of all time I would have, and I love Biggie. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you would imagine nowadays trying to do that on an album. Like, people wouldn't even people barely listen to like 20-second long skits. Do you know what I mean? Let alone like a 7-minute long.
I think skits are like a very like hit and miss on even like classic hip hop records.
Exactly. I think they definitely add to like setting the tone of an album, but whenever they're just there, I think it was a Skepta album. I think it was Konnichiwa. There was a skit, and it kind of just felt like it was there just for the sake of like there was a skit. You know, I don't know. Like,
sometimes they work well as like transitions, and if you can't formulate a way to create like a certain sound or create a vibe from a song, it's easy to just have someone talking in between to do what you can't create with music. But sometimes it's just like you said, they're just thrown there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like just trying to replicate some of their favorite albums that had things like that on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Even though yours obviously isn't like a hip hop album or anything, there is like a trend of just like, like 20, 30 songs albums.
Yeah,
just, like,
exactly.
Way too long.
Whenever I was on Sold Out, I was talking about Chris Brown, who, I think it was like a 60-song album he released, and then the next one was like 45 songs. But that's because when you get to that level, every song that's on that's going to get put in big playlists.
That's so true.
So much money, do you know what I mean?
And yeah, they're not meant. It's like that. It's like Drake's albums are like are playlists now, do you know? And it's like they're just designed for big number of plays rather than listening the whole way through.
Even Scorpion, isn't it? Like that was what?
That was painful to get through.
That was long.
Yeah, Views was really fucking long as well.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're a huge artist, no matter what you put, if you could, like, Drake could put out a 100-track album and all of it would get
you could be farting into the mic and people would still listen to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, this is fire, bro. Oh, I'm just getting in my feels. But no, it's even the care package that you just dropped is all just like Lucy's that you had hanging around, and people are still just going mad for it as if it was like a completely new project.
I think a lot of his music like that's quite good though. Like, do you know I'm Upset or is it just called Upset from his I think it's from Scorpion. I fucking love that song, and you can kind of tell it is a bit of a throwaway. It's kind of over like a lo-fi beat. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't sound finished. Yeah. But like I quite like his music, and it's probably my favorite song from him, and it's like
I kind of struggle to separate that song from Pusha just taking the piss out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
He does it in the
story of
in the Azidon freestyle, where it's just like you're talking about how you're upset. Well, like I'm about to just like fuck you off.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. But with the album, did you like? How long did it take to get the track listing sorted out? Was there like a lot of ones that you cut down?
Yeah, I think it was originally like with that label that I have that distribution deal with. They like pushed it back loads, and it was a whole pain trying to, like, I was talking about it on like Twitter and stuff, trying to get it put out.
Hashtag free CBAKL.
Yeah, it's all sorted now. Thankfully, the album came out. But
please don't draw me from the label.
Exactly. No, please do. Yeah, like it got to the point where I was like, this is a piss take, and I was like sitting on it for that long, and I wasn't not happy with any of the songs, but I was like, there's easily room for improvement, as there always is, I suppose. I feel like now, though, the way it is, I don't think I'd change any song. But
really?
Yeah, but at a point, there was like, I think probably like 2 or 3 songs. Like, there were 2 songs I cut out and added the last song, Oh Honey, and Wisdom is Misery, Hurt and Misery. I added both of them like late because the album was delayed, and You Cried, I like ended up changing that, thankfully, because I think it sounds a lot better from the original version that I'd made.
It's interesting because you probably have like an idea in your head of how you want it to be, and getting a pushback, you probably look at tracks differently, because I know if we're holding on to something for a while, you begin to think about it differently and maybe don't feel as happy with it, or you're a bit like, oh, it feels a bit dated or something like that. But did you ever have that feeling with any of the tracks because it was being held off a bit?
Yeah, I think the only tracks I had that feeling with were because I didn't think they fit the album, but they weren't like proper cohesive, whereas I feel like now from start to finish each song sounds like it was made for that album, if you know what I mean, whereas other tracks I think sort of sounded like they were made not necessarily, like as I was saying earlier, some tapes maybe sound like just a collection of songs. I feel like before I completely finished it up it sounded a little bit like that, but yeah, I'm glad with how it came out. I think it sounds more like cohesive from start to finish now. Yeah, I think it definitely does. Have you had any like contacts with people who, in response to the album, like sort of like new opportunities or anything that have come from it? I suppose stuff like interviews and things like that, like going down to Sold Out and then going on Kelly, like Gadget and the Cloud on her.
You're on Across the Line as well.
Yeah, Across the
Forgot
Line,
about that.
like loads of stuff like that, which I think is so important for, like, I don't know, if you just network your stuff, like if you get to the point where you think your stuff's good, I always say like learn networking as opposed to, because it gets to a point where you've become good, but do you know what I mean? Like if you make beats every single day, don't release them, just sort of leave them on your laptop. That's not going to do anything, do you know what I mean? But if you, I don't know, get a press release together, say like I'm releasing this album, send it to loads of like radio presenters and things, and I think that's something, especially in the Irish scene, like you can tell the people that are doing that because it's coming across very well and their stuff's well received.
Yeah, I definitely think it gets to the point where if you're, like you're saying, like if you're very good, you getting that little bit better isn't going to make that much of a difference if people aren't hearing your music. So if you're good, make sure it's getting received by as wide an audience as possible. And then if you can then improve your sound and tweak it that little bit more, you know, you've already got then the networking and the people that are going to actually shift it out to the masses, essentially.
Yeah. I think especially when you've got like a whole like project that comes out, then it can be a bit easier to digest. Like if you say to someone like, oh, listen to this single and that single, it's just like, oh yeah, just listen to this, like just listen to Wisdom's Misery.
Yeah,
they can just sort of get like your whole sounds in one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So last time you were on the podcast, you were saying that you were learning piano.
Yeah.
How is that going?
Yeah, as I was just saying, it's not, I don't know, not going great because I don't know, I've been focusing a lot on like networking, as I said. I haven't really been making a lot of music in comparison to like beforehand. So whenever I don't know, I haven't really been learning it very much, but I'm moving to Edinburgh next week. So I'm going to properly sit down and get into like music making mode again now that like the album's out and everything.
Because how much of the album is samples and then how much of it is like your own compositions?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of obviously all the vocal samples are samples.
Yeah.
None of the, like all the drums I've done, because I don't generally like using drum samples. I prefer to like do it myself. Or I suppose it's technically a drum sample because it's like from a drum pack. But yeah, like making the patterns myself and things, and then like making the bass and things like that. But yeah, like all of the vocal samples, which is very vocal sample heavy. So like all of that would have been just through like digging on YouTube and do you know what I mean, finding like samples that way.
Yeah. And would you ever, like as you sort of like progress and like get a bigger budget or whatever, would you ever consider like getting studio musicians in to do the beats, or would you like sort of keep it as yourself on the laptop?
No, 100%. Like even if you look at, you know, like Divine Feminine by Mac Miller, like that sort of very orchestral sound. I'd love to make music like that, but I think it's very like budget heavy. Like you need a lot of money to do stuff like that. But it's definitely something I'd like aspire to do in the future.
Yeah, of course. Because I was watching this video with you know, Burial.
Yeah. Burial, yeah.
There's a video of him where he basically is like working with a whole orchestra to like make his music, but he like has no experience or training, like full training. He can't even like read sheet music. Yeah, and he's basically just got this whole orchestra to just play like what's in his head.
He's just like
That's
looking
class.
at FL Studio like,
dude, do this thing.
He's like trying to click the mouse on the trumpet player, just like, it's not working. What's going on? But I think that's like a really good way to progress like that kind of sounds without, you know, just sticking to the laptop.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And yeah, I suppose, as you said, it's like the natural progression, because I think there's always a level of people, no matter what you make sample based, if it's like you can make the best sample based album ever and people still be like, oh, but it's sampled. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not really you. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that is weird. But how I know you did the radio interview recently where you played like a little bit of it live, and you were using the drum pad. Have you sort of like thought about how you're going to perform things from the album live using that, or like expanding like the instruments that you use?
Yeah, so I use like an SP404, which is like a sampler. So basically if I'm doing any sets like for the album in the future, it would probably be have the samples and chop them up as I'm playing, and then also like play the drums live. Yeah. So that way there's still like a live element to it, and it's also, I suppose it's kind of like a unique experience because each person there, do you know what I mean? It won't be the exact same version on the album, because the version on the album is very like set, done in a studio environment kind of way, whereas live it'll be sort of like human error. And
yeah,
that
like
sort of
quantized
stuff.
almost. Like
Exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting because I seen like Ross from Friends live, and he had a guy on the bass. He had an analog synth and stuff, and he was doing it live himself, and it was insane. Like it was slightly different to what you'd hear, you know, on Spotify or whatever. But like live, it was incredible. But then on the other hand, I'd seen the Avalanches before, and they had like two vocal singers like singing some of the samples, another guy like rapping part of it that was sampled, and it just didn't sound good. It's like a real delicate process, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it depends how sample heavy the work, because like I know the Avalanches is all samples.
Yeah, there's like over
exactly.
3,000 on that album, isn't there? Or something
Yeah,
mental
I
like
think
that.
I think it's actually even more than
More?
that. Yeah,
Fuck,
I think it's like
mad.
10,000 or some shit.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking hell.
But I think because theirs is all samples, then it's even harder to do it. Whereas like obviously yours is like you do the drums. and
Yeah,
the bass yourself.
exactly. I think there's definitely an art to like a live performance. Like you could be the best producer. Like I'm not the best DJ. Like I don't really focus on DJing. It's something I'm putting more effort into. But if you have a great live setup, I don't even think necessarily you have to make great music if you're great at like live performance, because people love that coming to see you. And then, do you know what I mean? Some people listen to your music, but if you're great at your performance, it's
But like that guy, that DJ Kink is like insane live. Like he has the portable piano sort of thing, keyboard going on.
Oh,
and,
is
like,
he the guy that looks like Anthony Fantano?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Oh, is that the one that was on Twitter recently?
Probably.
Where
Like his
it's
videos
him
always
just
go
going
viral.
Yeah,
right?
I think yeah.
And like he
Aye.
passed it down to someone in the crowd and one of the things, and he's like going ham on it. It's like pretty fucking.
Because I've seen that with a few producers. Like when I saw Totaj and Caribou as well, they both performed with like full live bands.
Yeah.
And it like I think it because it's nice when you go and see it, you don't want to just hear the same song, but just play it out of a
Exactly.
really good speaker.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the same. I think it was you guys were like touching on it with rappers as well, where it's like the stage presence and everything. A lot of that
Yeah.
can contribute. Like if you just go and they're dubbing.
If they have the
Yeah.
vocals playing in the background and they're just rapping over the top of it, and they've just got someone press and play, it can
Yeah.
work sometimes. But bringing it like a different element to it and having a bit more energy,
Yeah,
is
exactly.
always desirable.
Yeah,
Like,
I suppose a lot of that might stem from though if people are very like internet based, and then they might have like quite a lot of anxiety about performing live, so it's sort
True.
of building that up. So I suppose it's dependent. Like say for example, if they're sort of nervous and want to rely on that, and then people are like, oh, that was shit, is like maybe a bad side of that. Do you know what I mean? It's maybe just they're trying to get comfortable and then sort of experiment more.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe also that they don't like personally know musicians that could play in the band.
Yeah,
or, like,
exactly.
even trust them.
true. A lot of these guys are probably going to be bedroom producers, that,
Yeah.
like, and they've just been cooking it up in their room, but now they're coming like live. And that was something I was thinking about. Is like I was speaking to Jar Jar, and he is playing EP now.
Yeah.
And, like I don't think he's done that many shows, and he says he's bringing like a live element to it. But it's so cool, and it's something I'm actually thinking about writing about. Is sort of this planet SoundCloud, the planet Earth. You know, it's like
Yeah, that's class.
you're like you're so you can be so popular online and stuff, but you just haven't got that live experience, and it's so cool because so many people are so talented, but
Yeah.
maybe just are having to go out of their comfort zone and do these things live.
Yeah, I think it's also like opportunity. Like I don't think even like 5 years ago I could have done a show like where I'm from, like up in Portrush, like unless it was something I'd organised or like got a hip hop night going. Do you know what I mean? Because anything is very like indie rock based, which is fine, but do you know what I mean? It doesn't lend itself to like somebody playing
That's
fucking
true.
like hip hop beats.
Yeah, and speaking of other Irish producers, you had the Class Crack beat tape. I think that came out after we had you on the last
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I think so.
And there was like an absolute plethora of like amazing producers on that. It's also something you'd maybe think about doing again. I know that you were talking about that to me the other day.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like it was really fun to do. And
It's never been done before either. Like that was what I thought was sick about it.
yeah, it was kind of inspired by Mabfield in a sense, where I looked at it and was like, what you guys were doing, and you got everyone, not, do you know what I mean? Like you got people together, and it was like, right, I can look at this and see
Yeah.
people in the scene. And I just thought, like, there's so many talented Irish producers that it's difficult to keep up with, because as I said, sometimes it's very much like there's a rapper and then where's the producer? Like it's harder to find them. But if there's a place where it's just like a list of people, but yeah, I definitely want to do another one and have like more people that weren't included last time, because there's always more people that you've not been aware of that are like coming out that you haven't seen before.
Would you like keep it as like the Guinness Sessions Volume 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
It
you'd
would
have
probably
to,
be
like-
the, yeah. No, I was quite happy with the like album cover and everything I did for it. It was like using like old Guinness adverts.
Yeah.
So yeah, like keeping up that sort of like aesthetic for it.
Yeah, it looks great. I think talking about the covers as well is that you've got like film ratings on some of your older EPs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got like some film samples and stuff in some of the songs, but are there like any like particular films that you have in mind when you're making a song, or like things that inspire you?
I don't know, not particularly. I suppose it depends sometimes. Like if I was to make like, I don't know, like a sad boy beat. Do you know what I mean? Like a proper like there was one I made before and it used like a sad scene from like Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So something, say if I'm making a beat and I think like, oh, this kind of reminds me of like a scene from that movie, and then use it, or like I can't actually think of any other ones that I've used, to be honest. I don't really use too many actual like movie sort of samples anymore. It's more so just like straight to the music, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I guess it's probably quite hard to get cleared, I guess.
Yeah, and also it's kind of just hard to find ones that fit the theme of what you want to go for, because it's like, say for example, if you sat down and watched a movie, that's like 2 hours, and you might not even find one that fits a song. Do you know what I mean? So whereas if you're looking for samples, you can just like go onto a song, digest it quite quickly, know pretty much straight away if you can find something worth sampling. Whereas with a movie, do you know what I mean? You're going to have to pretty much watch all of it to try and see if there's like a...
Yeah, you'd have to have a specific one in mind, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want... I don't know. Well, personally, I don't want to just look up like, oh, iconic sad movies and then just the first one. That, do you know what I mean? It's like you kind of want to put your own personality towards it.
Yeah.
I can't wait until you do the Nutty Professor sample that you were talking about.
Which one?
Shrek 2 and 3. A whole EP made up purely of Shrek-based songs.
That's fire.
Smash Mouth only. But yeah, I think like I don't even know how the fuck we got onto that, but yeah, talking about like the Class Craic compilation sort of beat tape, I think that's super cool, and like you said, it definitely brought together a lot of the producers into one spot, because it can be quite the scene can be quite like broken up into people. Certain producers only work with certain people within their group.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was cool to get, I think, with Mankey on it and the likes of
like Gadget in the Cloud, Number Theory.
Yeah, there's a ton of people that, and some of them might not have been aware of each other. You know, that's maybe the
yeah,
beauty of it as
exactly.
well.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of the time there might be a sense of, I don't know, not competition, but sort of getting everyone together and being like, this is a community, rather than like I'm doing my producer thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
maybe feeling like you're not a part of the scene because you haven't been. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to sort of do that in a sense and get everyone together and be like, this is a community. Yeah.
And is there any of those sort of values? Do they sit within Class Craic? You know, what was sort of your initial goals when it came to that, and how is that sort of coming to fruition now?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, if you had to look at like an example, probably Brockhampton in that sense of they're all very close and it's a very tight knit. It's sort of more difficult with Class Craic because there's people from like Australia and England and Ireland, so it's like we can't all live in a house together. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, that idea of everyone's got their own taste and things, but we all come together and help each other work. Because I was speaking before about like wanting to open, I think I spoke about it on the last podcast, like wanting to open workshops at some point in the future of like a place where creative people can go and not feel like they're being judged. Do you know what I mean? It's just
I think that's super important though, because there's not a lot of creative spaces here that you feel comfortable doing stuff like, because I'm sure you probably got shit from people in school. I think we talked about this last time. People give you shit in school if you're doing something like that, and it's good to have almost these like I hate the word like safe spaces, makes it sound like, you know, you're getting attacked or whatever, but like I'm talking just where you feel comfortable creating.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even with the Class Craic guys, like I imagine it's a lot easier to just send what you're working on to those people and then get their opinions on it, who you know are going to give you a good opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about like sort of trailing off from that like community thing and the workshops. It's like that sense of, if I work on a song or like somebody in the group who's maybe like trying a new thing and they don't know where to get like feedback, otherwise they can send it into the group and get constructive feedback and actually like good input on it, not just somebody being like, oh yeah, that's cool, and then just moving on. Do you know what I mean? Like actually helping each other like grow in that sense and like bettering each other.
Is it all just musicians in Class Craic at the moment?
Nah, there's quite a lot of like, there's talented like videographers. Fergus is in Class Craic. He's the guy that designed that album cover. So I don't know, trying to make it more of a, I don't know how to, like, creative network, I suppose would be the term, maybe, like.
Because I mean, I guess you're never really short of the skills that you need to perfect anything. Like you've got Lacuna, who is a rapper but also can shoot some really hard videos.
Yeah, and also
Class Fergus, like, that does the graphics.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good way to have it, that you can have everything in-house. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, if I need an album cover, I can go to somebody that I fully trust and they know what like my vision for it would be. So I could go to them and be like, this is what I'm doing. Can you sort of help me work for, like, get this sorted? Do you know what I mean? Rather than going to somebody who might not have the same vision and then it doesn't work and then you're like, oh, I'm not really happy with that release. Do you know what I mean? It makes everything like super concise, and
I guess you get to control the like rollout from start to finish, like the process of it actually being made. to the end. Whereas like letting go of creative control outside of people you trust is quite difficult, I think, for anyone working in that sort of industry.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like if you don't necessarily trust somebody's vision, because at the same time everyone has different tastes, and that's what you were saying, like to get sort of each member on the same wavelength but have different tastes and bring it together, I think is quite important for that like community aspect and like inside the collective.
Yeah. Have you got any plans for doing videos for any of the tracks off the album?
Yeah, I have a few planned, but I think it's quite difficult because it's very like, because it's instrumental stuff, it has to be very conceptual, so it'll probably have to be like a storyline with a cast, and it can't just be like I go into a field and rap into it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but you know what I mean, it would have to be like properly thought through, and there's a few ideas like M-Flay. We've been talking about stuff that I think we're going to do quite soon for Can't Stay Away From You, which would be cool, but yeah, just it's sort of difficult because it's conceptual. You have to get and there'll have to be a budget and stuff involved.
Yeah, I feel like you need to come up with like a really strong idea. Whereas like a lot of other like videos for like rappers and stuff as well, you can just be like, yeah, we'll go to these locations.
Get the boys in the back of the car sitting there, and someone hold the dog on the leash.
Exactly. And that's the thing, I think rappers in that sense are kind of lucky because that looks class. Do you know what I mean? Whenever they do that, and it's just, you can do it like off the cuff, like very like random.
Yeah, I think that could end up making them better videos in the long run though. I think like some of my favorite videos are like like a couple of Chemical Brothers ones, where like it's sort of, there's no lyrics. It hasn't got the Chemical Brothers in the video, just like behind the decks, like whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it just comes up with like a really trippy or like cool idea.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, you can go very abstract. Like even if you look at like, do you know Where's Your Head At by Basement Jaxx, where it's like the monkeys and they're in what, like a lab or like a hospital or something. It's just fucking like batshit crazy. But
well,
like
even like any Flying Lotus's videos as well.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I suppose in that sense it's better because you have a lot more. You could, do you know what I mean? There's no limit, I suppose, because with rappers it's kind of like they have to be in the video rapping, or people might not like it as much. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I don't have to be in the video.
Yeah, it's true. I think someone who does do that pretty well is probably A$AP Rocky.
Yeah, he's sick. Like you always talk about that one that's like the Moby sample in it.
Yeah,
that's class.
Yeah, where it's like just zooming in through like
forever,
different viewpoints.
Yeah.
That one's really cool, and LSD is really cool as well.
I think though videos in hip hop have taken a step up in recent years just purely because of the like genre bending elements to a lot of the recent stuff coming out. Because before, obviously, when it's a more primitive genre, when it had only been out for so long, there's classic videos that are sort of beat out and done all the time. Yeah. But now you're starting to see like cross pollination between like fashion and hip hop and other genres as well.
Yeah, I think like people at A$AP and like Tyler. His videos are like really pushing it. I think. And Kanye obviously has been doing it for a while. Like he got I can't remember who the director was, but the one for Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, I remember was like one of the most expensive videos at the time, and he was just like going on and on about how fucking amazing it was, which it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't sound like Kanye at all.
I think that was one that he was like really pissed off it didn't win a Grammy or a BMA or something.
I think as well though, you have people like Kojak's always talked about as being like a sort of pioneer in terms of hip hop, but he's also, I would say, a pioneer of like in terms of his music videos, because I think he's a very good videographer as well. So it's like he's setting the bar a lot of the time for stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So if people are looking to him, like, because his videos
I think
are
that's
so
what set him apart more than anything. Like right from the get go was the videos, because even for the stuff from the Sunday Roast mixtape, he had a couple of videos that were really cool, and they weren't just something he'd thrown up together really quickly. And
which was the one where the narrative. He had his face in underwater.
Midnight Flower.
Yeah. I think they do a really good job of getting across their personality in the videos as well.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't feel like anyone could make those videos apart from them.
Yeah, exactly. And it sort of sets that bar for like, right, well, he's done that, and people who want to top him are gonna have to fucking, do you know what I mean? They're gonna have to try their hardest to push.
But even in a sense, there's more and more people doing it. In more recent times, you've got even Jafaris is working with Nathan Barlow, and some of their videos, we were talking about that earlier. Some of their videos are insane. Like I think it's Time or Find My Feet, I think it is. He's like skydiving, and he's got that in the fucking video. Like it's really going out of your way to do that kind of shit. And I think he went on holiday and filmed it, and some of it in LA. And we're not saying you have to go to fucking LA on holiday and do any of this shit, but like, get creative with it. Go somewhere different. Don't just shoot it in the back alley around with your mates.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying that you can't do it, but it's just it's refreshing to take it to
sort of different things. That's why I'm quite excited with Lacuna from Class Crack. Like he's a wedding photographer, like a fucking good one, and the videos that he makes are amazing. So I have like full confidence in everything that he does, as well as having Mflay, who also does class videos. But it's like, yeah, knowing that what they're doing is going to be like proper professional levels, that it makes it a lot less pressure, because you don't have to worry about, oh shit, if we do this, is it going to look
you
good?
can carry out the concepts, you can execute the concepts you have in your head.
Yeah, exactly. You can just go in and like, right, we're going to do this, and not have to worry about does it look good or not, because you just know, like, that again, going back to that thing of like trusting your like in-house people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess you get like an extra kick out of it as well, because you know that you're like helping them with the exposure, and like vice versa as well. So
yeah,
it's like
exactly.
another layer of like enjoyment to the process.
Yeah, I think we were kind of similar.
Yeah.
I think the first half's really good.
Yeah.
And then the second half is like,
Yeah, I don't know. I thought a lot of the stuff on it was like, I don't know. It just felt soulless. It's like, oh, we'll just fuck a slow tie feature in because
Yeah.
he's cool. Do you know? I don't know. It just
I
felt.
don't think his feature's actually that good either. I don't think his verse is that good.
Nah.
And the fact that he's going on tour with them, it doesn't feel like, whoa, we just struck up this friendship and we threw him on the album and now we're going on tour. It's like, right, get him in the album, and then we can release a wee video of whatever 1 minute clip it is, and then, you know, it'll be crazy when you get announced as a support act.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying to you as well. I think, you know, Clancy, who's like the Odd Future, Tyler, all of them. Like, I would say maybe not secretly managing Slow Tie, but it's just very strange that he came out of nowhere and then now it's like he's on Tyler's album.
He does kind of, I don't know what it is, he does sort of suit.
Yeah, I completely agree, but it's just, do you know what I mean? How else would he have found them? Because they're all, do you know what I mean? Even like the correlation between like Brockhampton and Odd Future. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like he's like primed and ready to just like blow up in America now.
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
my god, they're gonna fucking love him, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because he can play like, oh, it's the wacky British guy.
That's what I was going to say. Then you might have that thing, though, where it's like, this. If he becomes huge, it's like, oh, well, every English rapper's batshit crit. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do think there's going to be like almost a like renaissance of punk in like coming into rap music a bit more. You're already starting to see it a bit.
Yeah, like even, I suppose it wasn't really punk, but was it Doorman with Muramasa and Slow Tie? It was like kind of punky. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
and
sound.
even just the ethos that he's got going on. But even with like JPEG Mafia and like Zilla, I can't pronounce his name. Florida guy.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Alexa just fucking interrupting us. What the fuck?
Alexa, what?
Discovery. This will take a few moments.
Alexa,
Power on your new device.
turn off. That was weird as fuck.
Yeah, I don't even know what she was responding to there.
No.
But yeah, I think you're right though with the punk thing, especially given like the like political
Brexit
political
shit.
climate and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting though, but I can totally see it happening in Ireland as well. But it's just like I haven't really seen any crossover of that much of punk and rap in Ireland. There's what's his name? Khaki Kid does some cool stuff, but there's not a lot. But it'll be interesting to see. But I even think as a response to the political stuff, you're starting to see it a bit more here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they're like similar genres in terms of their like roots, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, like fuck the police and shit, and then like, obviously punk is like super political.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can definitely see them crossing over a bit more in the future.
I think it sort of comes with that as well, where it's like, fuck, I completely lost my train of thought there. Yeah, no, sorry. Like with rappers here, it's like after a few years, people might be like, right, I need to start delving into other genres because stuff's kind of already been done. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I want to properly stand out and try like a mashup of things to like sound really different from like the last guy that released the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Alexa kind of did us in there. Like, put me on my train of thought. But yeah, it's been good having you back. It's I think first guest and first repeat guest. So it's all kind of coming full circle, and it's come at a good time after the drop of the album. So I mean, yeah, it's been good having you on. One last question. Who have you been listening to in Ireland? Doesn't have to be rap artists, but who have you been listening to recently?
Fuck, I always feel these questions. I'm like,
it's not a matter of, you know, who you love or anything. Just like
exactly. It's one of those things where I'm like, I say all these people and then I'm like, fuck, I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Trying to think, like Nilo, obviously, I fucking love his music. And in fact, wait, let me get my phone because
go for it. Recent plays.
Yeah, we were talking about like Craic Boi Mental earlier. I was talking about that RIP Versatile, but part 2 I thought was fucking like super hard.
I've been listening to Polo's Life so much recently.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
There is just something like proper catchy about it. Like I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one. Who have you guys been listening to while I try and
Well, the Brockhampton album that just came
Well,
out.
what we're saying, like Irish artists.
Oh, Irish artists.
Yeah. But we got sent a lot recently. Like we got like the other week when we got sent tracks to review, there was fucking loads got sent through. That Ari Noir one we got sent through was pretty good.
That one's really good. The WTR one was really good.
Yeah, WTR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That track with Leo on, with the like siren beat.
Oh, with Auxiliary.
Yeah,
Auxiliary
yeah.
Phoenix, is that
Yeah.
them? Yeah, that song's class. I
Yeah.
liked as well. It was very different from
all the other
Leo's
stuff
other
he's
stuff.
done.
Like as soon as he came in, you were like, "Fuck," do you know what I mean? Proper caught your ear.
Yeah. Like we gave that a really strong review. I think
Mhm.
it sounds really different to a lot of the other
Yeah.
stuff coming out.
Did you listen to his other one he brought on Sunday as well? It was pretty
Oh
good.
no, I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's class.
Leo's song.
Yeah,
Oh,
Leo's one. Yeah.
yeah.
It was
I think I
class.
might have heard that actually, but
10,000 hours, I think it's called.
when I was at the Banjax.
Oh yeah,
I think that might be the one that he played then.
Oh nice.
But yeah, that did sound really good.
I'm kind of interested to see how this Green Diesel mixtape comes out because I wasn't
Aye.
honestly blown away by Airbnb. I
Yeah.
felt like when I heard it live before, it was really good and the beat was sick live.
Exactly.
I thought the video was cool, but I wasn't like.
Yeah, I think as well a lot of the time with music videos you can kind of be like disenfranchised, I suppose. You're like, fuck, this is amazing, and then you listen to it without the video and it doesn't really sort of like falls flat kind of. But yeah, I thought it was decent, but it's one of those where if that's like the best song on the album, it'll be a bit disappointing,
Yeah.
but if there's ones way above it, it'll be a class album, I think.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's going to be like just like an album of bangers there.
Yeah, I think they've got Date Night on it as well.
Oh, is that on it as well?
I think so. But yeah, like it's definitely an exciting project to come out, and I'm excited to see more of Luca Pam because, I just want to hear more of him rather than
Because he's only got like one solo single out, right?
maybe
Yeah,
one
I
or
think-
two.
Yeah, I think he has a couple.
Yeah.
But they've all got most of them have got features on them. But yeah,
I'd love to see a solo project from him where it's like, because it's
not
all well
leaning on anybody else.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, because I think, I don't know, like I feel like he could definitely stand on his own if he had a proper like cohesive sound going through like a whole tape
Definitely.
or something. But I'd say that'll probably all come because
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
what
he's
doing.
so young as well.
Yeah, and also what he's doing with Kojak is going to immediately propel him. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it'll just be a matter of time before he makes an album. But I would say though, Kojak, like there won't be a Luca Palm album before a Kojak album in my opinion. Cause
Nah.
yeah.
I think after this he'll probably drop an album. It'll be a while, like, but I think imagine he'll drop a proper debut album because I think
Yeah.
he even said Delhi Daydreams. He never explicitly said it was an album.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
I wouldn't be surprised if that does fucking class though, because like I think he's become friends with Slow Tie. Like I think
Well, he's
they were-
supporting him, isn't he? On
Yeah,
Sir?
yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Aye. So I wouldn't be surprised if like he is a feature, and do you know what I mean? If in a year's time, if he
Oh,
if Slow Tie
that'd
is,
be gnarly.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I think they'd make class music.
They
If
would
they made
do.
a fucking joint tape together, that would be unbelievable.
It'd be it'd be mental. I imagine.
Yeah.
The videos would probably be absolutely insane.
Yeah,
as well.
literally.
Soft tie.
That's a class name.
It
Yeah.
just sounds like a porn.
Soft tie, yeah, right enough. Like a fucking massage parlor.
Oh fuck. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there on that,
On that
note. But cheers for coming down.
Yeah, thanks
Good
for having me
seeing you
on again. Yeah.
And yeah, it's been Dylan.
Yeah, and Jack.
Peace.